Hello, everyone. Welcome to How to Host and Take on a Gig Experience. I'm Nicole Darling, the Eastern Region Employer Engagement and Career Specialist at Penn State University. So just to let everybody know, we are going to be recording this webinar so we can share it out later. Last year, we began developing a new type of short-term work experience for students that offers many benefits to our students and, of course, employers. And we call them gig experiences. So I'd like to share with you today what a gig experience at Penn State looks like, how to offer one, and how students can take one on. And then, of course, after the short presentation, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. You can put them in the Q&A, and my colleagues, John Tobin and Tina Rose, will help get those questions to me, and I can answer the best I can for you. So I think it's appropriate to share a little bit about the gig economy first and some of the differences between traditional gig work and student-based gig experiences. So a gig economy is a free market system in which temporary positions are common and organizations hire independent workers for short-term commitments. The term gig is actually a slang word for a job that's going to last a specified period of time. So the gig economy is not new. People have always worked gigs in the past, even back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. But today, when most people refer to the gig economy, they're specifically talking about new technology. So the technology that's going to enable the kind of work that we see. So I want to share with you a short little video on the gig economy to give you a better idea of what that is.
For years, the norm for a job has been permanent full or part-time employment. But recently, more and more people are beginning to take on a variety of short-term jobs, also known as gigs. These include things like freelancing, temp jobs, jobs in the sharing economy, and more. All of these different jobs form something called the gig economy. The gig economy is beginning to take up a larger portion of the workforce, and studies show no sign of it slowing down. This is partially due to the evolution of technology. Companies are now able to hire workers anywhere in the world who can then easily telecommute and work remotely for them. Mobile apps have allowed businesses like Uber and Airbnb to grow an enormous amount of contract workers. And social media has given people the ability to market themselves and sell their products and services at a much cheaper cost than traditional advertising. It's hard to say exactly how the rise of the gig economy will affect and change the future of the job market, but we do know that both companies and workers will need to continue to adapt to it.
Okay, so according to the Bureau of Labor projections, the gig economy, its workers will increase by 43% in just this year in 2020. And it is projected that by 2023, more than half, about 52% of the US workforce will either be gig economy workers or have worked independently at some point in their career. The typical number of hours that someone with a gig experience like this would work would be between 12 and 30 hours a week. So the gig economy is here to stay and certainly has seen a real growth in this industry with technology. So as you can see, Americans are interested in gigs for a few reasons, most of all to supplement their incomes. A whole industry really has risen that takes advantage of these types of workers. So from Lyft and Uber to Instacart and even Grubhub, all of these companies support the gig economy, which is short-term work. The difference between a gig and a part-time job is that workers are not employed by the organization. They are independent contractors, accepting short-term assignments. So as a part-time worker, they would be paid through the company as an employee with the appropriate taxes taken out of their paychecks. Now, independent contractors, on the other hand, are paid for the task and don't necessarily have taxes collected for their paycheck. So gig workers are going to be responsible for reporting all income and paying applicable taxes. Now, there are differences in the type of gig work done here and a gig experience at Penn State for students. So what we call a gig experience at Penn State is similar, but slightly different in that what you see traditionally in the gig economy. Our gig experiences are short-term professional projects that are designed for college students that would mimic work assigned in an internship. So these projects would typically require 5 to 40 hours to complete with a set time frame provided for completion. Payment is based on the number of hours needed to complete the project, as well as the type of work that's required. What differs from the types of assignments we're looking for and those available in the gig economy we just talked about would be the connection to work you would normally see, again, in that internship-like environment, which would provide industry and career experience for the student. So assignments that offer the student an opportunity to engage in a work environment of interest to them and work that is beneficial to the organization. So there are a lot of different projects that an organization can create for a student for a gig experience. Projects can consist of any professional experience that shows a student the components of the business. And certainly gig experiences are open to all majors. So it may include things like creating a social media calendar or content creation, data mining for your organization, doing market research, maybe benchmarking your competitors, doing marketing, graphic design, IT web design. It could be report writing, editing, political campaign work, blog writing, even lead generation for your organization, fundraising development, technology work, and work in accounting as well. And this is just to name a few. Really, it's what your company or your organization needs to have completed that will give students a really great experience. So there, of course, are benefits to our students. So the students that are out there, there's a number of benefits to you, including the ability to explore different career paths and industries. A humanities student, for example, may take on a short-term project in the insurance industry and possibly see a new career option there. A marketing major might explore nonprofit work and decide that is, the industry for them. So students can also enhance their skill set and learn new ones to make them more marketable. Completing short-term projects that can benefit an organization can also boost workplace confidence in the student as they begin to apply for full internships and other experiences. It's also, of course, a great way to make extra money. By working with an organization, students are able to add to their own professional network and make connections in their industry. Working online can be very different than going into an office. So these experiences can aid in developing their online skills and rapport. The projects are also wonderful experiences to add to your resume or LinkedIn profile. And of course, there's also benefits to our employers. On the employer side, offering short-term projects or gig experiences allows employers to explore potential future hires for internships or full-time work upon graduation. These experiences can develop a new pipeline for talent and allow an organization to engage earlier with students. So whereas you may not take on internships till a student's junior year, gig experiences can be really beneficial for freshmen and sophomores as well as the upperclassmen. They also help to expand your brand with Penn State students as those students become more familiar with your organization and work with your staff. So these experiences are really great for those projects, of course, that never seem to get up and running due to heavy staff schedules. Things that you always want to get to, but just can't because other things take precedence. So as an employer, you may not be sure that you have enough work to hire an intern. So starting maybe with a few gig experiences, a few projects, short-term projects, you might be able to see what a student can bring to your organization in terms of filling in those gaps and bringing new ideas as well to the table. You may also have a future project that may need some prep work done or support work completed beforehand. And this is a great way to complete this work while benefiting a student looking to make an impact even in a small project. So you have a gig experience. How do you get your gig experiences out to students? If you're familiar with Penn State and our job posting system, you know this is through Nittany Lion Careers. You can reach Nittany Lion Careers at nittanyLioncareers.psu.edu. If you're already registered, you can go in and just post a new position, just as you would your part-time internships or even full-time work. But once you do get registered, you will go to posting a new job, and you are going to enter the employer name, your employer name, and contact. And you'll also click on click on the no third-party recruiters. So you'll click on no there. You have your employer name, your contact, which will all come up for you once you're registered. And then further down on the page, this is sort of the critical part. You want to make sure that you select contract/gig experiences. And you can see where that's highlighted there. This is going to help students really determine that this is not a part-time job or a full internship, but a gig short-term experience. When you are typing in your job title, you do want to place gig after the title. What this is going to do is help students determine that this is not contract work, but a short-term gig experience for them. Finally, at the top of your job description, you would normally put in your job description, and you will do that, but at the top of the job description, you're going to put a little line in there, as you can see on the screen, what type of work it is, gig, research work in this case, how many hours, and the deadline for completion. This is going to help students know if this is something right off the bat they can handle. If this is a tight deadline, they may not be able to fit it in their schedule, and they'll move on to something that's maybe has a little bit longer deadline to it. It'll also tell them how many hours they need to commit to this project. So it may be a quick 2-hour or 5-hour job, and that's okay. But we need to let students know ahead of time so that they're applying for the correct gig work. So this is pretty much all there is to it. You'll click Save and Submit, and your job will be posted, your gig experience will be posted just as your other jobs will be. And as far as getting applicants for this particular gig, you'll receive them just as you would as if you posted an internship or full-time position, or even part-time for that matter. You'll receive their contact information through their resume and their interest in the position, and then you'll decide which student best matches the project, and you'll reach out to them as you normally would. So what makes a successful gig experience? This is really important, I think, in terms of on the employer side, a successful gig experience is going to begin with making sure your project is detailed enough to guide the student to a positive outcome. So you want to make sure that you include all the details, exactly what you're looking for. And of course, you want to include the nature and the details of the work, including how the final project is going to be completed, how it will be submitted, whether that's electronically or through software on your company site. You want to make sure that that is all clear. Also include your start and end dates, as well as any resources the student may need to complete the work. You'll also want to be upfront on the payment for the completed project. I would figure that out before you post the job, and you might even want to include it in the job description so that students know ahead of time what the job would pay. In addition to that, I would set weekly check-ins to make sure the work is being done correctly. and flowing with at the correct pace. Both student and the manager of the product should also have the other's correct contact information. So if there is an issue, you don't have any problems reaching out to each other. On the student side, you definitely want to ask for any additional information you may need for the assignment. If you're unsure about any component of the assignment, ask up front, ask as soon as you get the question. Don't wait till the last minute or, as the deadline approaches. And you should be checking in regularly with your project manager. Stay on track with your deadlines. Employers are going to be looking for that to make sure that you are reliable and that you can adhere to those check-ins and deadlines. If you run into any issues, reach out to that project manager immediately. And hopefully you can work something out between the two of you. The worst thing you can do is not engage and not reach out. Certainly, as we share with you all the time, be professional in all interactions. Proof and recheck your work before submitting it for any mistakes. And work as if you are on site and you are looking to be hired full time. This is really an excellent opportunity for you to show off your work, show how professional you are, and possibly be at the top of the list for an internship or a full-time hire down the road, in addition to possibly more gig experiences with that organization. So those are just some things that you can keep in mind to help make this successful on both sides, through a student and through the employer side. So I know there's going to be some questions that you may have, and you can certainly go ahead and start putting those in the question and answer pod, and I'm happy to answer any of those. I know two of them that may be asked, which is, how do students get paid? Payment is strictly between the employer and the student. Penn State does not get involved in that. That being said, typically employers will pay students as an independent contractor, which means they will be paid once the project has been completed. As an independent contractor, students will receive a 1099 tax document at the end of the year. You must pay tax on income you earned from a gig work that you do. But as a student, you're going to need to get advice on income thresholds regarding 1099s. So tax preparers and accountants can help provide more information for you on that. The other question that you might have is, can international students take on a gig experience? And the answer is yes. Gig-based work has been approved under CPT and OPT by the government for international students. But again, you'll want to refer to your international student office to be approved under CPT or OPT from their office. Okay. Do we have any questions on hosting a gig, what that looks like? And I'll stop sharing my screen right now and bring in Tina Rose and John Tobin. Doesn't look like we have any questions just yet.
There is one question.
Okay, great.
When are we able to start posting our gig experiences?
If you're an employer, you can start posting them immediately. You just need to go to the Nittany Lion Career website, as I mentioned earlier, and you can go ahead and start posting them today if you'd like.
Okay. And another question, I'm not sure who this is from. It's how early, and I don't get the word, it says HAN, so I don't know, how early on hand do you decide to apply? So maybe I'm thinking this might be a student saying, how early should we consider applying for a gig experience? So maybe you're thinking what year?
Yeah, I can answer that two different ways. So based on what year, you certainly can look for experiences that might fit your skill set. So even if you're a freshman, I think if there is maybe a research project that you think you'd be really great at, you can certainly apply to it. So I don't think there's a determination, or cutoff on which year you are, first year, second. And as far as applying for specific jobs or projects, you certainly want to take a look at that due date and apply as soon as you see that it's posted.
And I'll just give a little input there too, is any student that is looking when they should apply for experience, I would say getting advice from professors that you value their opinion about where your level of experience is to actually handle a project. I think that would be good advice. So tapping into the resources, career services, and your professors will give you a lot of good input about when to start that process for applying.
Perfect. Any other questions from our employers?
Those are the only two so far.
Okay. Give it a minute. I do want to say, while maybe you're thinking of questions that you might want to pose, these are a really great alternative to possibly canceled or postponed internship experiences. A lot of this work can be done obviously online. So if you're in a position where you've had an internship over the summer that was supposed to be on site, or you're a student who is looking to get experience because an internship was canceled, these might be some really great alternatives to that. As far as, answering the question, what did you do with your time during, a canceled internship?
So we have a couple more questions, Nicole.
Okay.
Are only current students able to apply for a gig experience, or are graduates also able to apply?
I would say, since Nittany Careers is open to our alumni as well, yes, you can apply as well, as long as you're a Penn State student or alumni.
Excellent, thank you. And another question, can career services help frame the experience?
Absolutely. We're going to provide some resources for not only our students, but career services to share with them as well, on how to, prepare for that experience. Meaning, here's a checklist. Do you have all of this information before you begin? And kind of resources that help you through that experience. But yeah, I think career service is a great avenue to go to if you're a student and you're not quite sure about a gig experience. Go to your career services office, talk to them. They can help you through it, and then help possibly, guide you to a particular experience where they can help you prepare for that as well, and make sure that you have all the information that you need.
And, just to add a piece, because coming from career services,
Yeah.
I would say that if a student asks that question, that yes, we can definitely help you with that. But also to think about how to connect with that employer, because if you're seeing it on Nittany Careers, how to talk to them, questions you might want to ask about the experience, the soft skills that are appropriate and necessary. So we can help kind of build your confidence. It's not quite like an interview per se, but in some ways it is. So how to connect with, network, and talk about the experience with employer, we can definitely help you with all those phases.
Great. Okay. If we don't have any other questions, we're going to end early. I hope this was a quick enough presentation, but thorough enough to give you an idea of what a gig experience actually is, how it differs from a part-time job, and how it can actually benefit not only our students, but employers as well. I'm hoping employers will see this as a real opportunity to engage with our students in another way, offer them some experience that they may be lacking right now or having a tough time trying to find. So if you have those projects out there, we certainly would love to see them. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is n as in Nicole, ss100@psu.edu, and I'm happy to answer any employer questions, or at least can direct you in the right direction to either our campuses or our colleges as well. Okay.
Can I add one thing? Do you
Absolutely.
mind? Yeah, so the employers that are still on, even if you post that experience on the Nittany Career website, I would encourage you actually to reach out directly to career services at the specific campus you're interested in. And, for me at the Scranton campus, if you email me or just want to talk on the phone, explaining that project, because what then I can do is to enhance the possibility of getting a lot of interest. I can talk to the specific professors on campus where those what students you might be interested in, or if I see students that would be perfect for that project, I can have them directly contact you. So we can the web of that information can be really spread across campus. So I wouldn't only depend on Nittany Lion Careers. Feel free to reach out to us because we'll really, advertise that at a lot higher level for you.
And
Okay.
I'll just chime in a little bit. I think that's a really good point to make, John, because a lot of our campuses, this is for employers again, have a variety of different majors and different tracks that students take. So if you are considering doing a gig experience as opposed to an internship, I think it's really important to reach out to us directly because we can help you with that process.
Tina. And I do see that there's just two more quick questions. One is asking where can they access the recording of this presentation? Yes, it has been recorded and we will have a link for you. I'm not exactly sure where that's going to be right away, but if you want to email me, I'm happy to send it out to you directly. And then we'll certainly contact Career Services at the campuses and at the university, let them know where that link will be posted as well. And then finally, as an employer, who can we reach out to for future questions? You can certainly reach out to me if it's gig experience related. As I gave you my email before, nss100@psu.edu. If it is related to one of our campuses and our career services staff there, you can either contact them directly or reach out to me and I can get you in contact with them as well.
We had another question, Nicole. Are gig experiences only completed remotely or also in person?
I would say for the most part, they're going to be remote work. But there are cases where, if geographically, if you have someone near that campus that is interested in that position, they can also be in person as well. Any other questions?
Sorry, I was just going to comment on that. I had a student who actually completed sort of a project gig experience, and it was mostly done remotely, but they did go into the employer probably once every 2 weeks just to kind of check in. So I agree with Nicole. It can be both, but I agree that it is more remote.
All right. I think that will do it for us today then. I hope we answered all of your questions. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any other questions that come up. I'm happy to share that with you. And again, we'll make sure we get out the link to everybody so that they can connect to it. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, John. Thank you, Tina. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nicole.